name is Ashley and I have two identical twin girls who are 3 weeks old. In today's video I'm going to be talking about why they were in the NICU for almost 2 weeks and what that looked like for our everyday life and that kind of thing. So yeah, if you've never seen me before, please do subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. So I'm going to start with once they were born. They were born at 35 weeks and 4 days. And so hospital policy is whenever you deliver twins in general at my hospital, there's always a NICU team there per baby. So when I delivered, each baby got sent with a NICU team and they did all their vitals. They were initially just put on oxygen. It's just a precaution normally with my hospital. By the time I saw either of them, they were off oxygen and they both were getting antibiotics as well. I don't know why particularly they were getting antibiotics, but they were getting antibiotics. I don't know if it's because I was positive for strep B, but I know they gave me antibiotics during labor, so I don't know if it was just a precaution or if they I think it's a precautionary measure. Anyways, again, I wasn't there. I didn't get to see them until about, I think, 12 hours after I delivered, maybe longer actually. So I wasn't exactly there finding out why they were getting all that stuff initially. So when they were both born weighing 5 pounds 8 ounces, which was really good. They were very happy with their birth weights. Initially when they were both given feeding tubes because they weren't eating properly. So I talked about how in my labor and delivery video, they started out at one hospital that is like the #1 hospital for NICU in my city. So any baby under 32 weeks gets sent there. So if your baby's healthy enough, you get sent to another hospital. So I was initially separated from my baby, so I wasn't there for the beginning portion because I had to stay at the hospital and they were transferred out to another hospital, which is a whole other thing. But anyways, they were transferred, so I wasn't there and they didn't really explain anything to me. It was just kind of, this is what they needed, so this is what they did. So really, my babies were perfectly healthy when they were born. They didn't have jaundice. They didn't have any issues like that. But really their big thing was they weren't eating. So typically they say they had to meet certain benchmarks. So at first it was they had to eat 30 milliliters per feed, and then they upped it a couple days later. They had to eat 40, and then they had to eat 50 milliliters. And if they didn't eat the 50 milliliters, so like let's say they ate 20, then the 30 that they didn't eat would have to go through a feeding tube. So so they were very strict on that, and they weren't allowed to come home until they were eating all of they couldn't even have like one feed where if they weren't hungry, that wasn't okay. They had to do consistently, they had to eat every single one fully without needing to get gavaged, which is when they use the tube. So they typically say if you're 37 weeks is like the magic number. Once your baby hits about 37 weeks, then something clicks with them and they start eating all of like they're supposed to be. So our babies were they would have been 37 in 2 days when they were released. And it's like they said, it just kind of clicked, and it was a matter of 2 days before they came home, they started eating, and then it was all of a sudden they could come home kind of thing. And it was very difficult though going to the hospital every day when they were in NICU, because everything there is very it's like you don't really have your baby, if that makes sense. They did share like a little crib thing, and I was really lucky in the hospital. The room they had for most of the time there had a queen size bed and its own bathroom and then their crib and stuff. So if we wanted, we could stay the night. But because I was having like a lot of medical problems, unfortunately I couldn't stay the night. But it was very much like this limbo period where you can come and you can feed them if you want to feed them, or you don't come if you don't want to come. So it was just very much like you don't really have your babies, like you come home at night and they're not there, right? So the nurses at the NICU were wonderful though. I really liked them. There were a couple that were just like, okay, like I wasn't the biggest fan of, but like it was just, matter of preference. Like, this one nurse was just very, like, she only had our babies that day, so I think that was part of it. Like, normally they have like 3 babies to a nurse, but she only had our twins, and she was just kind of like, she hovered. Like, anytime we were feeding them, it was everything, like every 10 seconds there was a critique, or every time you did anything it was critiqued. And she actually held our babies back from being released because she said that they weren't ready. And then the nurse after her said that they were ready, and she's the one who ended up, we had that nurse 2 days in a row, and because we had that nurse 2 days in a row, they ended up being released. So it really had to do a lot with who you get as a nurse. But yeah, so when they left the hospital, they were still a little bit under their birth weight. So that's the other thing, they had to keep gaining weight. They couldn't lose any, like, initially they lost, but when they went home, they had to consistently be gaining weight. So typically they wanted to see 20 grams a day, I believe is what it was. So as long as they were doing that, which they were. The nice thing about the NICU is they teach you how to do a lot of things. Like, they teach you how to bathe the baby, they teach you how to, like, they just, you know, how to take the temperature properly. Like, a lot of things, like, you wouldn't think about, like, bathing a baby is not really that difficult, but it's nice to have a guide there to show you the proper way to do it and all of that kind of thing. And also they tell you the signs to watch for like illness and disease, and they give you all kinds of other resources because your babies are premature, which is really nice. So yes, our babies were in NICU for 12 days and they got really good care, and I'm really grateful that they got the care that they did, but it was definitely very hard to not have them home. So yes, that is their NICU journey and the reason they were in the NICU. If you have never seen me before, please do consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching.